Good afternoon and welcome to Memorial Stadium at the University of Nebraska. It is a great day to be in Nebraska and a great day, we believe, for our university and for Husker athletics. As you know, earlier this afternoon, we made the announcement that Bill Moos would become our next athletics director for Nebraska athletics beginning on October the 23rd, a week from tomorrow, officially. You certainly have seen the basic background and the accomplishments of our new athletic director, so I won't belabor those here today with you, but it's safe to say that Bill comes with a reputation for excellence, comes with a reputation for competitiveness, comes with a reputation for balance in an athletics program from his tenure at Washington State, from his tenure at the University of Oregon, from his tenure at the University of Montana. So we couldn't be more happy to be welcoming he and Kendra, his wife, who we're very glad is here with us today, and eventually his extended family to join us here in Nebraska. Now, I'm going to let Bill do most of the talking here this afternoon because we want you to get an opportunity to meet and to get to know him. But first, I want to just say a word of thanks to our interim athletic director, Dave Remington, who is seated over here just to my left. Dave took a big risk coming here. He had to leave his established work at the Boomer Esiason Foundation. He had to leave, for the most part, his wife Lisa and their 4 children in New York. They've had the good pleasure of being here this weekend and have joined Dave here for the next few days. But Dave was willing, without hesitation, to step up, give back to his alma mater, give back to Husker athletics in a way to help us during this interim period. And Dave, we couldn't be more appreciative for that and for what you've done over these recent weeks. Please give Dave Remington a big round of applause. Now, when you talk about passion and commitment, those are 2 words that we certainly use to describe our new athletic director. I want to talk to you just a little bit about the process that we used in this selection. I think it's important for you to know in many respects. First of all, now, immediately after the September 21st announcement of a change in athletics leadership, we went to work to identify one of the very top search consulting firms in the world of collegiate athletics, and we were so pleased to have the opportunity to work in this process with Turnkey and with Gene DiFilippo in particular in that team and helping guide us through this process to a very successful result. We also pulled together a group of 20 individuals on that Sunday, following September 21st, to talk with us, let us listen to them about the profile we were looking for in our next athletic director. The search firm was there, listening and taking notes through that process. That group of 20 individuals represented current student athletes, former student athletes, current and former coaches, current and former athletics administration here at the university, and certainly supporters of the university and our athletics programs. That was a pivotal and important part of our process to really identify the key traits and attributes that we were looking for in the next leadership for our athletic director. And we thank those individuals for their willingness to step up and serve in that way for us. Our process was very extensive. We went to work immediately after that. The search firm also met with all of our head coaches, also met with all of our senior athletic administration leadership for that same kind of process as we got to work. We vetted a very long and very highly qualified list of candidates for this position. And I can't overemphasize to you how humbling and how wonderful it was for us as administrators, for President Bounds, who's here today and was part of this process pivotally, and for myself, to fully understand the position and the prestige that Husker athletics has nationally. The history, the tradition, the competitive nature of our Husker athletics, the success academically of our Husker athletics program, the financial position and infrastructure we have here to be successful was very evident from the individuals that we vetted who were interested and wanted to look at this position seriously with us. We narrowed that list to a handful of finalists who we interviewed personally for the position, and we selected our top candidate from that list, and we were very pleased that it was Mr. Bill Moos. So I'm going to introduce to you now and give you an opportunity to hear from our new athletic director at the University of Nebraska, Bill Moos. Bill.
Thank you. Well, thank you. I want to first thank Chancellor Green and President Bounds for giving me this honor. I really feel it's an honor to be leading Husker athletics. I really felt that when we visited, can I say where we visited?
No.
Okay. See, I'm already checking here. I'm going to make sure. But that we connected. And I remember walking out with the search firm person, Gene DiFilippo, and saying, I could and would like to really work for those gentlemen. So you read my quotes in the press release, I trust. I wanted to add a couple, and those are heartfelt, believe me. I wanted to just add a couple other things, and one is, it's always been my view professionally that when someone is looking at another job, another position, that they're either running away from something or running to something. And believe me, I have nothing to run away from, but wholeheartedly wanted to run to this job. From the time I was a small boy on a wheat and cattle ranch in eastern Washington, I always tuned in to the Nebraska-Oklahoma game on Thanksgiving weekends, never missed one. Even did it in college when I was a player myself. A storied athletic program at a very prestigious institution. One of the things I always look for is what's the academic standards and what is the feelings in regards to their academic accomplishments, and the University of Nebraska has many. And there's a reason that we are in the Big Ten, and we are surrounded by like institutions, and not just everybody gets invited to the party. And that was a big part of it. I mentioned the prestige of the storied athletic program, but also the passionate fan base known throughout the country. Memorial Stadium being sold out since 1962. Honey, you weren't born yet, and just barely. And I was 11 years old, and people in my positions across the country. And believe me, I have a pretty good network. I'm the dean of the Pac-12 athletic directors until tomorrow. And my peers there and all the NC2A committees and everything else, when you name the top 3, 4, or 5 athletic programs and the great positions as an athletic director, Nebraska's in that same breath. So we're excited to be here. I'm going to touch just on a couple other things. I want you to know that my motto has always been, in the 25 years that I've been a Division I athletic director, and it will be here too, and it's very simple. Honor the past, live the present, create the future. And we will honor the past. I look at Dave over here. I just got to meet him today. He's another reason why I realized I never played in the NFL. An outstanding athlete, and as I got to know him today, just a wonderful human being. And Dave, I'm really looking forward to getting to know you better and spending some time with you. And I've also had a chance to meet with several alums and people that are very passionate about Husker athletics, and you can feel that. I'm not one that would take a job in an urban environment. I'm a rural boy. I feel like Eastern Washington is so much like the state of Nebraska. Good, wholesome people with a great work ethic, down to earth, and love athletics and really love football. And with that, I think I'll take questions, because that can take me down some other walkways, and look forward to that.
I want to just add one comment to what you just heard Bill say, and I shared this with our athletics leadership and the head coaches earlier this afternoon in exactly the same way. Fit for a position is so important. It doesn't matter whether you're in the business world. It doesn't matter whether you're looking for a dean of an academic college. It doesn't matter whether you're looking for, a chancellor of a university. Fit is so important. You look for the skills and the acumen and the ability to deliver on that position, but fit is important. And I would emphasize, knowing Nebraska, fit is extremely important here, even more so than perhaps in a lot of other places. When we met Bill Moos and we talked to him, it was so apparent that the fit to Nebraska was right. And I had a comment made to me, I'll leave the source undisclosed, earlier today, about when you meet Bill and Kendra, as Nebraskans and Nebraska alumni of our university are going to do, and our fan base is going to do, it's almost like they're Nebraskans who have lived somewhere else for all of their life, and now they're coming home. And I mean that very sincerely. We're so excited about having them here. We're so excited about what the future of Husker athletics is going to look like under Bill's leadership. And as he said, we'll take a few questions for a time period here that you may have for Bill or I.
Hi, Bill. I was just wondering why you feel, you went through some of it, but can you elaborate on why you think it's a good fit for you personally and your family?
Well, I did touch on a little bit of it, and right now my family is primarily all here. We have 5 children, 3 daughters and 2 sons who are all out of the house now. So we are mobile, and we sold our house last summer, not in anticipation of coming to Nebraska, but it sure worked out nice because we can get here right away. But this is a storied place, and when you've been in the business as long as I have, and it's been a long time, and I'm proud of what we've accomplished at a couple other places. I want to bring a lot of that mentality to a place where we can be in a position to win championships in every sport. And my predecessors through the years, I've known several of those. They've talked about all the great aspects of the University of Nebraska, and now I get to experience them for myself. Kendra, too.
Hey, Bill. I'm sure with your Pac-10, Pac-12 experience, you have some familiarity with Mike Riley. What is your impression of him? And also, I guess, what do you want to see from the Husker football program going forward?
Yeah, I do know Mike Riley. He was at Oregon State when I was at Oregon, so even though we were rivals, I did respect him and the job he did there. And I was surprised when he left to come here, but I thought that he should do very, very well. I really haven't talked to Mike much since he made that move. But you know, as we speak right now, he's my football coach, and I'm going to support him. And certainly hope for some victories here towards the latter part of the season. And eager to sit down and have a chance to visit with him.
Bill, I know that you've had to make a football coaching hire in the past when you were at Washington State. Can you talk about your process of going about evaluating the football program, some of the things that you're going to be looking for when you do get on the job here?
Yeah, well, I've hired 11 head coaches at Washington State and did that in the first 5 years. And what I replaced them with were quality, proven winners, most of them at this level, who saw Washington State as a destination and not a stepping stone. It had been that for a long time. And in the background, we were working very hard to build facilities and provide the resources to help them become successful. So first and foremost, when I'm looking for a coach, are they a good teacher? Are they a good individual? Ethically, are they above board and clean? What are their records and what are their ambitions? Where do they want to go? And do they fit in the community? Not every community is the same. A head coach at USC may not work at Oregon State. So that's a big part of it too. And if we do go about making changes in whatever sport here, I think that's probably one of the most important decisions I can make, because they are the ones who are literally in charge on a day-to-day basis with the student athletes and their well-being.
Over here. Hi, Bill. I'm 60 years old, so I can ask this question. When guys your age and my age get to this age, they start sometimes looking more toward retirement than taking on a big job. Why did you want to take this on?
Well, I tried that retirement stuff, and when we left Oregon in 2012, my wife Kendra and I went and built a cattle ranch, and I got to tell you, to be quite frank, for about 2 years, if I read the sports page, it was the last part of the paper. My focus was not just building that ranch, but my older boy had just signed to play at Arizona State, and I wanted to watch him play. And our younger children, I wanted to be able to coach them in their various children's sports and all that, and I never had that opportunity in all these years as in athletics. So, but I think this is important to point out that after about 2 years, really started to miss it, and people ask, well, what did you miss? And sure, I miss the competition. Any of us who actually played the game, and especially in the collegiate level, your pilot light never goes out, and it's begging for fuel and getting that adrenaline up. And Dave can tell you on game day, there's no greater thrill. And I miss that, but most importantly, I miss the student athletes. And what I missed was the opportunity to have a positive impact on their lives at a critical time, from the time they're 18, 22, 23, away from home for the first time, developing the kind of adults they're going to be. And that was the most gratifying part of my job, and still is. And for those young people, after they've left and come back and come in my office, they're always invited to come back, and that's honoring the past, and say, Mr. Moos, thank you for this wonderful opportunity. When I was being recruited, you told me what to expect. It was right on, and the experience that I had, I will savor for the rest of my life. That's what I missed. So I tried that retirement stuff, and Kendra, after 2 years, said, you need a job. Yeah, better get back at it. So we did, and we plan to be in this for a long, long time still.
Hi, Bill. My question is sort of, I guess, two parts. So how do you relate as an athletic director to Nebraska fans? And then how do you relate inwardly to your coaches? In other words, what's your outward style to fans, and what's your inward management style toward the coaches themselves?
Well, with the fans, and may I point out the media as well, I like to make myself accessible. I think the fans and the media and the fans through the media need to fully understand what our blueprint is, what our mission is, how we're gauging our progress. That needs to get out, and I'm always eager to do that. Internally, and I did meet with the coaches and the senior leadership group. I want to be there to help them and make sure that they have the resources. I mean, the resources are here, the facilities are here. That hasn't been the case everywhere I've been. The university leadership is outstanding, and the fan base, we talked about that. So I want them to understand that I'm here for them. I talked about recruiting a little bit, and that they have access to me. In a big program like this, and the ones that I've led, you need to have answers right away. And that comes from developing an organizational chart that can provide those, whether I'm here or not. I use the analogy that the sign of a great restaurant is when the customer doesn't know if the chef's in the kitchen. And so what we will do, and has proven successful wherever I've been, is we will build a blueprint of where we're going. And everybody internally will have ownership in that. And we will follow that blueprint. It's different everywhere we go. I know it'll be different here. But they will be a part of it, and they will know as head coaches that they will have access to me. And if I'm not here and I'm not available, because I want to be around the state taking care of the first part of your question, that they can get answers, and it's going to be consistent with my management style.
Bill, over here.
Where are we at?
Left.
Oh.
Two questions. I guess the first one is, were you in the stadium last night?
No, but I watched it.
Given your, you mentioned that you used to watch Oklahoma, Nebraska as a youngster, and obviously you've been around college football. What's your general takeaway about where Nebraska's sitting right now and basically the landscape of college football?
Well, the landscape of college football has changed, and it's evolved through the years. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is scholarship limitations back decades ago, a couple decades, which really started to level the playing field. The other one was equal television revenue distribution. So the so-called have-nots of the old days now can compete a little bit more with the haves. Now, having said that, there's no substitute for tradition and legacy. And Nebraska certainly has that. And what we need to do is make sure that is polished and back there, and we need to compete in all of our sports. I'm a fierce competitor. And we've done, I really think, I can humbly say, some remarkable things at places that didn't have the things in place like Nebraska does. And I alluded to those earlier. So I told the coaches earlier and the staff that my expectation, in first brush, is that we should be in a position in every sport to compete for championships. And certainly that's going to be our goal, and that'll be a big part of the blueprint that I referred to.
Bill, you've been the AD at Oregon, where I think money falls off of trees, and at Washington State, where clearly it doesn't. You anticipate this job being more like which of those places?
Well, let me set the record straight just a little bit on that. When I got to Oregon, if money fell off trees, the trees were pretty barren. It's not the Oregon that you see today. And that was in 1995. A lot of things had to be addressed, I felt. That needed to be rebranded. We needed to change the culture. We needed to get the building blocks in place for it to be successful. And it was my responsibility to go out and find those resources. They were not available then. And over the years we did that, and we really, we won 13 Pac-10 at the time championships in a variety of sports, and started packing the stadium and also our basketball arena. And before you knew it, that culture had changed. It's very changed now. But I think one of the things I'm most proud of is after, I think in my 5th or 6th year, that Oregon won outright championships, conference championships in the Pac-10 in both football and men's basketball, and won the WNIT national championship in women's basketball. And you can believe we put a lot of billboards up across the state that celebrated that. And now, having said that, and I want to really emphasize this, once you do find success, it's important that there's a reinvestment in that success, because it's far different being the hunted than it is the hunter. And Nebraska for years, I'm going to talk about the sport of football, has been the hunted, and we're not right now. And we need to get back into that position where everybody's putting Nebraska and circling it on the schedule, and that's going to be one tough game, whether that we're going to Lincoln or whether they're coming to our place. And I believe that that's the Huskers' rightful place, and we're going to see what we can do to get back there.
This is a question for Chancellor Green. You mentioned that you had 20 individuals or so who served on a kind of an advisory committee. Would you be able to give any further specifics about maybe who some of those individuals were that you took input from?
Well, certainly we don't intend for that to be a secret necessarily. We did want to have some space to have that conversation as we were framing the search, so we did do it quickly and so forth. But we had decorated athletes, former athletes in that group. Eric Crouch was in that group, for example. Jordan Burroughs was in that group. We had current coaches, John Cook, Rhonda Ravel were in that group. We had former coaches. Coach Osborne was in that group. So we had supporters, or some who are here today, who were in that group. So that kind of mix of folks.
A quick question for Ronnie, and then another question for Bill. Since there were current players, you obviously respect those current players' voices. Who were those players who were part of the committee?
We've intentionally kind of left football off the equation because it was the day after a game. But Brianna Holman from the volleyball team was in that group. Levi Gibson, very outstanding track athlete, was in that group.
And then Bill, you've been in the Pac-10/Pac-12 a long time. Can you compare and contrast the Pac-12 network and the Big Ten network, and how those two networks have played out over the last 10 years? I know the Pac-12 network isn't as old as the Big Ten network, but the issues that have gone on with the Pac-12 network that the Big Ten